Ho! I'm Lion-O, Lord of the Thundercats, reminding you that kids are not allowed to drink anything with alcohol in it.
And I'm Snap, telling you this, don't kid around with drinking. It's against the law.
Obey the code. Don't drink alcohol.
Come ahead! Quiet on the set!
This is Michael Falkner, and it's showtime at the October 18th, 2011 edition of the Weekly Podioplex, brought to you by the Chronic Rift. Let's kick things off with the weekend box office results, starting with number 10 and The Lion King 3D, dropping from 7th. At number 9 is new release The Big Year, which is all I plan to say about that. In 8th place is Courageous, slipping from 6th place. In 7th we find 50-50, sliding 2 from last week's 5th. At 6th is Moneyball, down from 4th. In 5th place is Dolphin Tale, down from last week's 3rd place position with an additional $6.2 million and a total of $58 million. In 4th place is last week's runner-up, The Ides of March, bringing in another $7.1 million towards $22 million total. In 3rd place is new release The Thing, starting its run with $8.5 million. The Thing is being considered a disappointment with an opening take lower than most horror remakes in the last decade, including The Fog's $11.7 million and The Stepfather's $11.6 million. The Thing sold about as many tickets as the 1982 original, but the main draw is for fans of the original who are already familiar with the film's villain, and they were already cynical about the need for a remake or a prequel. In 2nd is another remake, in new release Footloose, debuting with $15.6 million. In movies about music and dancing, it debuted below Stomp the Yard's $21.8 million in the first 2 Step Up movies. The top movie in the genre is 2001's Save the Last Dance, which opened with $23.5 million. Paramount Pictures reported that 75% of the audience was female and 27% was under the age of 18. But 2 80s remakes couldn't contend against Real Steel, which held the top spot for a second week, pulling in $16.3 million to bring the movie to $52 million in total. So what could possibly deliver a knockout punch to Real Steel? October 21st slate has a few contenders, starting with Paranormal Activity 3, a horror mystery starring Kate Featherston, Sprague Graydon, and Lauren Bittner. In 1988, young sisters Katie and Christy befriend an invisible entity who resides in their home. Paranormal Activity 3 is not rated at the time of recording, but based on history of the franchise, it's likely going to get an R. Next up is The Three Musketeers, a romantic action-adventure film starring Logan Lerman, Matthew McFadden, and Ray Stevenson.
She's the world's deadliest assassin. But for the Musketeers, we are surrounded by enemies.
We need the most feared swordsman in Europe.
She's their only hope to save the world.
Well, we don't have all night.
On October 21st,
you want to be a musketeer? This is your chance.
It's the classic story for a new generation.
All for one.
One for all.
The Three Musketeers, rated PG-13, October 21st.
The hot-headed young D'Artagnan, along with 3 former legendary but now down on their luck musketeers, must unite and defeat a beautiful double agent and her villainous employer from seizing the French throne and engulfing Europe in a war. The Three Musketeers is rated PG-13. Next up is Margin Call, a thriller starring Zachary Quinto, Stanley Tucci, and Kevin Spacey.
Mr. Dale, these are extraordinary times, as you very well must know.
I don't understand.
The majority of this floor is being let go today.
Eric, I'm very sorry. I was working on something, but they wouldn't let me finish it. So, take a look at it. Be careful.
Hello?
I need you guys to come back up here.
Wait a second.
Just trust me, okay? I need you guys back here now.
Wait a minute, what am I looking at?
This figure here.
Whoa, is that?
It gets ugly in a hurry.
Is that figure right?
Looks pretty right to me. There are $8 trillion of paper around the world relying on that equation.
But we were wrong.
No, you mean you were wrong.
Sir, if those assets decrease by just 25%, That loss would be greater than the current market capitalization of this entire company.
How long would it take to clear that from our books?
You cannot be doing what you're thinking of doing.
Sell it all today.
You're selling something that you know has no value.
So that we may survive. There are 3 ways to make a living in this business. Be first, be smarter, or cheat.
Look at these people wandering around with absolutely no idea what's about to happen.
You're a very important piece of this puzzle. Are you in on this?
I can tell you that people are going to say some very nasty things about what we do here today.
If we're going down, then you damn well know it'll be together.
I'm not sure that I do know that.
The ground is shifting below our feet. Remember this day, boys. Remember this day.
Margin call revolves around key people at an investment bank over a 24-hour period during the early stages of the financial crisis. Margin call is rated R. And last on the wide release slate is Johnny English Reborn, a comedic action-adventure film starring Rowan Atkinson, Rosamund Pike, and Dominic West.
For 5 winters now, you have hidden from the walls. Now, I will make you a warrior again.
How?
MI7 wants you on the first flight back to London.
The world's greatest spy,
Johnny English.
Work hard, play hard.
is back. And deadlier than ever.
You've been away for some time, English. But you haven't been forgotten. You made a laughingstock out of this service once. Not on my watch. Clear?
Sir, the Chinese man in spectacles.
Contact. You mean? Your grandmother is sick. She's dead. That's how sick she is.
He's an expert in martial arts. A master of disguise. And an agent in total control.
You know how to fly these, sir?
It's all coming back to me.
Now, he's about to face his fiercest enemy yet.
There is a plot to kill the Premier.
Time is of the essence. Where are we on security?
English?
Give me 24 hours.
In 2011,
My country needs me. It's Johnny English. Let's kick some bottom.
British intelligence fights back.
Johnny.
It's the killer from Hong Kong.
Murderous crone.
I've got her, you old hag. She's the killer.
She's my mother! Granny!
Johnny English Reborn.
In this spy movie genre spoof, Johnny English goes up against international assassins hunting down the Chinese premier. Johnny English Reborn is rated PG. In limited release, we have Martha Macy May Marlene, a thriller starring Elizabeth Olsen, Sarah Paulson, and John Hawkes. Haunted by painful memories and increasing paranoia, a damaged woman struggles to reassimilate with her family after fleeing an abusive cult. Martha Macy May Marlene is rated R. The second film on their limited release slate is Glitch in the Grid, a drama starring Jay Masonek, Jeffrey Leiser, and Eric Leiser. 3 artists struggling against the grid of society find spiritual renewal. Glitch in the Grid is not rated and opens on October 20th. If home video is more your style, you have plenty of choices on October 18th, starting with Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, an action-adventure film starring Johnny Depp, Penelope Cruz, and Ian McShane. Jack Sparrow and Barbossa embark on a quest to find the elusive fountain of youth, only to discover that Blackbeard and his daughter are after it too. Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides is rated PG-13. Next up is Bad Teacher, the comedy starring Cameron Diaz, Jason Segel, and Justin Timberlake. The Bad Teacher is a foul-mouthed junior high teacher who, after being dumped by her sugar daddy, begins to woo a colleague, a move that pits her against a well-loved teacher. Bad Teacher is rated R. Next on the slate is The Captains, a documentary by William Shatner. The Captains is a feature-length documentary film that follows Shatner as he interviews the other actors who portrayed starship captains within the illustrious science fiction franchise Star Trek. The Captains is not rated. Next up is Monte Carlo, a romantic comedy starring Selena Gomez, Leighton Meester, and Katie Cassidy. Three young women vacationing in Paris find themselves whisked away to Monte Carlo after one of the girls is mistaken for a British heiress. Monte Carlo is rated PG. Next up is Red State, an action horror thriller starring Michael Parks, Melissa Leo, and John Goodman, and the film is directed by Kevin Smith. Set in Middle America, a group of teens receive an online invitation for sex, though they soon encounter fundamentalists with much more sinister agendas. Red State is rated R. Next up is Page One, Inside the New York Times, a documentary starring David Carr, Tim Arango, and Carl Bernstein. Unprecedented access to the New York Times newsroom yields a complex view of the transformation of a media landscape fraught with both peril and opportunity. Page One, Inside the New York Times is rated R. Next up is A Better Life, a drama starring Damian Bichir, Jose Julian, and Eddie Sotelo. A gardener in East Los Angeles struggles to keep his son away from gangs and immigration agents while trying to give his son the opportunities he never had. A Better Life is rated PG-13. And last on the list is Batman Year One, an animated direct-to-video release starring Elijah Dushku, Bryan Cranston, and Katie Sackhoff. A wealthy playboy and a Chicago cop both return to Gotham City, where their lives will intersect in unexpected ways. Batman Year One is rated PG-13. The TV on DVD slate kicks off with Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 3, a science fiction animated series starring Matt Lanter, Ashley Eckstein, and James Arnold Taylor. This series takes place immediately after the events of Star Wars Episode 2, The Attack of the Clones, and follows the Grand Army of the Republic, led by Anakin Skywalker, his apprentice Ahsoka Tano, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and other Jedi Knights, as they fight the new droid army of the Separatists. Also in science fiction, we have V Season 2, starring Elizabeth Mitchell, Miranda Baccarat, and Scott Wolf. They seem almost godlike among us. They're the alien visitors who, led by the mysterious Queen Anna, base their operations out of 29 motherships covering over 29 global sites. But why 29? The answer lies in the V's secret plan, just one of the extraordinary revelations in Season 2. As that astonishing plan draws closer to fulfillment, a resourceful underground unit of resistance fighters called the Fifth Column redoubles its efforts to undermine it. Next up is Thundercats, Season 1, Book 1, starring Will Friedle, Satomi Karugi, and Matthew Mercer. A betrayal, a reluctant leader, a journey like no other, a roaring return from the mighty menagerie of animated icons. The Thundercats are back in an all-new animated series that purrs with sensational stories starring the favorite characters. The exciting first 8 episodes roar into action with the evil Mum-Ra's attack on the city of Thundera that destroys the cat civilization, leaving only a band of survivors, Tigra, Panthro, Snarf, Chitara, Wily Cat, and Wily Cat, and young Prince Lion-O, the surviving ruler of his people. As the threats of Mum-Ra ring in their ears, these destined cats know what they must do: find the Book of Omens, which holds the key to their future. In retro animation, we have Robotech: The Complete Original Series, starring Jean-Claude Ballard. Robotech is a sweeping science fiction anime epic of humans defending their homeworld against alien domination. The saga is told through the eyes of characters caught up in a series of wars that erupt when a mysterious spacecraft crash lands on Earth at the turn of the millennium. Carl Masick's groundbreaking sci-fi epic has enthralled audiences since it first appeared on American television in 1985. One of the first ever anime imports, this saga spans 3 generations of mankind's fight for freedom. Robotech, the complete series, contains a remastered version of all 85 episodes from the 3 Robotech Wars, the Macross Saga, the Robotech Masters, and the New Generation. The TV on DVD slate rounds out with one other retro entry, and that's Little House on the Prairie, the complete series, starring Melissa Gilbert, Michael Landon, and Lindsay Greenbush. In September of 1974, Little House on the Prairie made its television debut, and has remained an all-time American family classic ever since. A top-rated series through its 9-season run, the show's timeless themes of love, morality, and rich family values continue to capture the hearts of viewers around the world through its continued syndication. Based on the best-selling books by Laura Ingalls Wilder, which chronicled the dramatic, gripping adventures of a young pioneer family struggle to build a new life for themselves on the American frontier of the 1870s, Little House on the Prairie was nominated for 17 Emmys and 3 Golden Globe Awards. This 60-disc box set contains all 9 seasons and 3 TV movies. Moving on to classics on Blu-ray, we have The Crow, a fantasy thriller from 1994 starring Brandon Lee, Michael Wincott, and Rochelle Davis. A man brutally murdered comes back to life as an undead avenger. The Crow is rated R. Next up, you can never say die with The Goonies, an adventure comedy from 1985 starring Sean Astin, Josh Brolin, and Jeff Cohen. A group of kids embark on a wild adventure after finding a pirate treasure map. The Goonies is rated PG. Next is The Guns of Navarone, an action film from 1961 starring David Niven, Gregory Peck, and Anthony Quinn. A British team is sent across occupied Greek territory and destroy the massive German gun emplacement that commands a key sea channel. The Guns of Navarone is not rated. Next up is Cape Fear, a dramatic thriller from 1991 starring Robert De Niro, Nick Nolte, and Jessica Lange. A convicted rapist released from prison after serving a 14-year sentence stalks the family of the lawyer who originally defended him. Cape Fear is rated R. Next is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, a musical fantasy film from 1971. Making this the 40th anniversary, starring Gene Wilder, Jack Albertson, and Peter Ostrom. A poor boy wins the opportunity to tour the most eccentric and wonderful candy factory of all. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is rated G. Last, we have a 2-disc classic, and if this was a video podcast, you'd see the air quotes. A classic which, as far as I can tell, is coming to DVD only. It's the Captain America set, containing both TV movies Captain America and Captain America 2 Death Too Soon from 1979. Captain America stars Reb Brown, Len Berman, and Heather Menzies-Urick. When a commercial artist is almost murdered by spies looking for his late father's secrets, he's saved in surgery when the Flag formula is injected into him. This serum not only heals him, but also gives him tremendous strength and lightning reflexes. A government agency equips him with a special motorcycle loaded with gadgets and a bulletproof shield as he battles the nation's enemies as Captain America. Captain America 2, Death Too Soon, stars Reb Brown, Connie Zelica, and Len Berman. Simon Mills is looking for a missing scientist who he believes is being held by a revolutionary known as Miguel. And Miguel also happens to be looking for a formula to accelerate the aging process. Well, who better to solve this mystery and save the day than Captain America? Captain America and Captain America 2, Death Too Soon, are both not rated. Let's finish this off with one item in the Quick Flicks. Die Hard 5 is coming, and we've got details. Die Hard 5 will be titled A Good Day to Die Hard. Shooting begins this coming January, and the sequel is going to be released on February 14th, 2013. That's Valentine's Day, just in case you want to be romantic with explosions and stuff. The story is set in Russia and begins with John McClane heading into Moscow to get his son out of jail. But when he gets there, things surrounding his son's arrest aren't quite what they appear, and then, of course, world-threatening hijinks with terrorists ensue. The character of John McClane Jr. has yet to be cast, and the producers and writers don't know if they're going to go for the PG-13 or stretch for the R rating, but as soon as details come available, you'll be one of the first people I tell. If you want to discuss anything you heard in this week's edition, or even share better ways to celebrate Valentine's Day than by saving the world, please take a moment to get in touch. You can surf on over to chronicgriff.com and leave a note in the forums. You can leave a voicemail at 888-866-9010, or you can write to John at chronicgriff.com. You can follow us on Tumblr, tweet us on Twitter, check in the network on GetGlue, and leave us a review on iTunes. You can also find the Weekly Podioplex and the Chronic Rift on Facebook. You remember Die Hard 4? Yeah, John McClane checked into the Rift before saving the world. It was just off screen, I promise. If you decide to pick up any of this week's new releases, why not do it through our Amazon store? You get the newest entertainment at Amazon's low prices and high-quality service, and each purchase you make to the store supports the Chronic Grift. Look for the link in our show notes. The Weekly Podioplex is a collaboration of Criticality and Lucky Shot Productions. This is Michael Falkner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you at the theater.